The chapel was quiet, its old wooden doors creaking as the townsfolk filed in, whispering behind gloved hands. All eyes drifted toward the widowed rancher, John Mallory, sitting tall yet visibly weighed down by grief. His daughter, Lily, only 6 years old, with wide blue eyes, sat beside him clutching her small locket that once belonged to her mother. It had been 2 years since her death. 2 long years of silence, loneliness, and the unspoken ache that echoed in every corner of their ranch house. Today wasn't supposed to be emotional, it was just a wedding the town had gathered for. But when the bride walked through the door, everything stopped. She stepped forward, wearing a modest cream-colored dress, her hair arranged in a simple braid that fell over her shoulder, exactly the way John's late wife used to wear it. Her face carried the same soft glow, the same shy gentleness in the eyes. For a moment, John forgot how to breathe. Lily suddenly stood up on the pew, tugging at her father's sleeve with trembling fingers. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice echoing in the quiet church. John slowly turned toward her. She lifted her little hand, pointing straight at the bride. "Daddy," she said louder this time, her voice filled with wonder and certainty, "she looks like Mommy." A hush fell over the entire congregation. Even the bride stopped walking. John's heart thundered in his chest. Because in that frozen second, he saw it too. A ripple of murmurs moved across the church, but John couldn't hear any of it. His vision tunneled, fixed on the bride's face. She stood motionless halfway down the aisle, her eyes widening as she looked at Lily, almost as if she, too, felt something tug deep in her soul. The pastor hesitated, glancing nervously between the bride and the widowed rancher. This wasn't her wedding. She wasn't here to marry John, but in that moment, it felt as if fate had marched her into his life with purpose. Lily slowly stepped out into the aisle, her gaze never leaving the woman's face. The bride's lips trembled, tears pooling in her eyes, not of sorrow, but recognition. It wasn't logical. They had never met before. Yet there was a pull, ancient, undeniable. John rose from his seat. The bride lowered her veil completely, tears slipping down her cheeks as Lily approached her and gently touched her hand, as if a child reaching for her mother after waking from a nightmare. "You came back," Lily whispered with absolute innocence. The bride gasped. John took a step forward, his voice roughened with emotion he could no longer contain. "Miss, what is your name?" She wiped her tears, eyes shining with something unspoken. "My name is Evelyn," she said softly. "But, your daughter just called me by a name I haven't heard in years." John's brows furrowed. Lily's voice trembled as she whispered again. "Mommy." Evelyn dropped to her knees, unable to stand beneath the weight of the child's gaze. Lily's tiny hands cupped her face as if confirming her existence, her expression calm, almost relieved. But the adults around them weren't calm at all. John's heartbeat echoed in his ears. His feet moved of their own accord, bringing him closer until he stood merely inches away. He could see it now, faint, barely visible, but there, the same dimple in the left cheek Lily had inherited from her late mother, or so he believed. "I buried my wife with my own hands," John said, voice shaking. "I saw her take her last breath." Evelyn's eyes filled again, and for the first time, her voice broke. "I am not the woman you buried, but I know her." A collective gasp swept through the church. Lily tugged gently on Evelyn's sleeve. "Mommy used to hum to me when I was in her tummy," she said softly. "You're humming the same song." John froze. He hadn't noticed. In her distress, Evelyn was silently humming under her breath, the lullaby only his wife knew. A lullaby no one else had ever heard. "Who are you?" John demanded, stepping closer, caught between fear and desperate hope. Evelyn slowly reached inside her dress pocket and pulled out a faded, worn ribbon. A ribbon John had buried with his wife. The moment the ribbon touched John's hand, his world tilted. The church seemed to fade into silence. He remembered tying that very ribbon into his wife's hair the night before she gave birth, his last memory of her truly smiling. "How do you have this?" he whispered. Evelyn's fingers trembled as she held his gaze. "Because she gave it to me, the night she died. And she made me swear an oath." John stepped back, stunned. Panic flickered across his face as reality and impossibility warred inside him. Evelyn continued, her voice calm despite the storm around her. "Your wife had a twin sister, hidden at birth. They were separated to protect them from a family curse. One was meant to live among men, the other was hidden away in the mountains with a secret order." Murmurs rose around the room, fear, awe, disbelief. She found me only days before her death, Evelyn said, her eyes now glistening not with fear, but purpose. She knew she wouldn't survive the birth. She made me promise to find you, and protect the child until the day Lily chose me herself. And she has chosen, came the voice of the old pastor, stepping forward. His eyes were wet. It is not the mind that chooses blood, it is the spirit. Lily reached out again, wrapping her arms around Evelyn. This time, Evelyn held her back, fully, completely, as if a dam had finally broken. John swallowed, his voice barely a whisper. Are you here to replace her, or to bring her back to me? Evelyn took a step toward John, her heart pounding like a drum of fate. Lily was still in her arms, small and fragile, yet glowing with a peace she had never shown before. I am not here to replace her, Evelyn said softly. I am here because love does not die, it changes form. Your wife's last wish was not that you remain alone in grief, but that her daughter grow up with the woman who shared her heartbeat before birth. The pastor placed a gentle hand on John's shoulder. Blood is a gift, but destiny is a calling. John looked at Evelyn for a long, heavy moment. His grief, long buried, rose up, but with it, something else, recognition. In Evelyn's eyes, he saw the same fierce kindness, the same steady strength that his wife had carried. Not her reflection, but her continuation. Lily reached out her small hand and placed it in her father's, then guided both their hands onto Evelyn's. In that quiet church, with dawn light breaking through the stained glass windows, something shifted in the air. Not a replacement, a restoration. John's voice broke as he finally spoke. Then stay, not as a guest, not as a burden, but as the woman destiny brought to finish what was left undone. Tears shimmered in Evelyn's eyes. I will stay, she whispered. For Lily. For her. And, for you. The bell rang outside, though no one had touched it. Some said it was the wind. Others said it was a blessing. But in the hearts of 3 souls, a family was reborn.